All right, we're back. Coast to Coast Podcast, latest edition here on Inside Carolina. We love doing these. And shout out to the magic of Sherelle and, prospects just being good kids and being willing to talk to us. But we're going to talk with James Brown, one of the latest commitments to Hubert Davis and his staff at North Carolina. James, we appreciate you joining us, man, from just outside Chicago. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, man. Anytime we can kind of liven this show up with some youth and some vigor, we're gonna absolutely do it. So we're gonna kind of roundtable some questions with you here. Again, we just want to hear more about James the guy. We've talked about James the player up and down, and we've done all the analysis, but I think our listeners and our viewers want to hear from JB the guy. So let's get rolling. James, first thing I want to ask you, your words, your gut instinct. Why North Carolina?
I'd say why North Carolina because of the initial relationship that I was able to build with Coach Davis and Coach May, and it all started when I first talked to Coach Davis when I was at the USA training camp over the summer in Colorado. And just from then, I could tell he was a extremely genuine person and a great guy. And, he seemed like he really cared for what he does and, for his players. And just from then, being able to build on that relationship is something that really attracted me to North Carolina. And then also something that I told Sherelle was, North Carolina, the brand and, the basketball and just outside of basketball, just it being a great school. The opportunities that it could provide for me on and off the court are endless.
So what I hear is I hear a young man that's had some media training because he reframed the question as soon as I asked it, and I respect the hell out of that. I'll be honest, JB. Sure, I'll go ahead, man.
No, I wanted to follow up with that. When did you know, like in your heart of hearts, that Carolina is where you wanted to go?
Um, I had a feeling that I really liked North Carolina after the visit. Just being able to be down there and the place and the campus in Chapel Hill is so special. So after that, that was definitely something that stood out from my other visits. But the communication since I took my visit to North Carolina with some colleges, it might have dropped off a little bit, or with some, they kind of talked to me, but it seemed like they were it kind of something that not necessarily changed a little bit, but they might have like, after they got my visit out of the way, might have started prioritizing other people, stuff like that. But with Carolina, it picked up. So after that, it was just like maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month after I took my visit, I was kind of like, man, like North Carolina, that's the school that I want to go to. And then after that, it was kind of like just talking with my parents and, kind of like, how do we want to go about this, talking to Coach Davis, kind of that sort of thing. So I would probably say a couple months after I took my visit.
So I don't think this made it into the first person story you wrote for Inside Carolina, which was really good, by the way. But tell me, how did it happen the day you committed? I think we talked about it at some point, but it did get included in any of the coverage. Like you guys are riding home in the car and you call Coach Davis, and what happens from there?
So me and my dad were in the car, and we called Coach Davis. And my dad was like, man, we appreciate you for coming up to the game versus Whitney Young. Kind of just wanted to know what he thought about the game. Coach Davis gave his honest feedback. Thought I played pretty well. A couple things that he wanted to tweak about my performance. So I appreciated the criticism. And then kind of just told him from there. He was like, man, North Carolina's been a school that, we've been looking at really closely, and we feel like it would be the best place for me, and then we feel like Coach Davis would be the best coach for me to coach me at the next level. And he just after we kind of told him, he just kept talking about how excited he was and how thorough he was, and it was really a great moment for everybody in the car and on the call. But we kind of just told him, and then after that, we kind of tried to find a date when we wanted to announce and how we wanted to announce. And he said that he was going to talk to the media people at North Carolina and kind of figure out how we wanted to go about everything.
When Coach Davis first started talking to you, had there been any prior indication of UNC interest prior to you being in Colorado Springs? And just in terms of UNC obviously being from the Midwest, were there any players that you kind of associated with North Carolina when you first started talking to them?
Not any prior. I hadn't talked to anybody from North Carolina prior to going to Colorado.
Hmm.
But being from the Midwest, I guess the first person that comes to mind when I would think of North Carolina is kind of Bobby Frazier. Uh, him being a Chicago guy, and then also not playing against him, but him coaching against me my freshman and sophomore year when he was the head coach at Brother Rice. That was kind of the first person that I kind of associated with North Carolina. And then I know Tyler Hansborough played with the Indiana Pacers, so I don't know if he's from the Midwest or not, but just kind of associated with him playing with the Midwest team in the NBA. I kind of associated those two together as well. And then Coach May, now knowing that he's from Indiana too, so.
Hey man, I may or may not have texted Bobby Frazier to ask him about you. Just saying, just putting that out there. And he was very, very familiar with your game and the fact that they could never beat you guys. I believe that was something that Bobby shared with us. But yeah, there is a long lineage from Montrose to May to Hansborough being from Missouri, and now Jalen Washington on the roster. So you're jumping into a really good pipeline of players coming from that Midwest area. So I want to ask, what have things been like since you committed? How have things changed? Has it gotten a weight off your shoulders? You always hear about prospects saying that things are so much easier to focus now when you make that commitment and get that over with. I'd like to ask you what's different now since you've made your commitment.
One thing that I would say that's been different is it definitely does provide some sort of relief knowing that you're locked in with the school. You don't have to worry about talking to different coaches and stuff like that. You know who you're locked in with, where you want to go. You're basically just focusing on getting better and preparing yourself for that next level. Obviously one goal that me and my high school want to do is win a state championship. So I feel like ever since committing to North Carolina, I've definitely been able to be a better teammate and kind of help provide for the team in ways that I couldn't. It being a better leader and things like that. But one thing that's definitely been different is just the amount of people that walk up to me. We go to different showcases, and the amount of different people I see in North Carolina jerseys or North Carolina T-shirts that are just like, man, congratulations, welcome, man. We're excited to watch you play. Just the whole North Carolina basketball family has been really embracing since I committed, and that's just something that I really really appreciate, especially being in Chicago or we were in Quincy, Illinois this past weekend, or in Bass Pro Shops in Missouri. Just kind of seeing how people are just everywhere, and fans of North Carolina, and just being extremely welcoming to me and my family. That's something that's really stood out and been different.
One thing we hear from a lot of guys now since Hubert Davis has been head coach, just about the family atmosphere at UNC. I mean, it's been a thing since before Hubert, but I think he's kind of enhanced it and definitely talks about it more. What was your experience with that when you were on campus, and then since you've been committed during the recruiting process, et cetera?
Yeah, it's very true. Coach Davis, and not just Coach Davis, but the whole staff and the whole kind of Carolina community is just has really kind of showed that family atmosphere. One of the things that stood out on my visit to North Carolina, kind of stepping away from Coach Davis, was just being able to hang out with Jalen Washington and Seth Trimble and Tyler Nickel. And I'm sure Coach Davis isn't going to be too happy when I say this, but just hanging out with them, we kind of stayed up. We were up, just kind of chilling in the dorms till about 5 a.m. I think that's when they finally drove me back to the Carolina Inn. But just the connection that I was able to build with them. And it wasn't a connection where it was like after I left my visit. I still talk to Jalen and Tyler and Seth, to this day, and kind of just ask them about how things are going. What are they looking forward to? So I would say that even before I was committed, they really kind of embraced me into their family, and so that family atmosphere is definitely real. And then with Coach Davis, you could just tell in the way that he coaches, and the passion that he coaches with. That was one thing that kind of excited me about him, was just that passion and that fire that he coached with. Even yesterday when I didn't watch the NC State game, but I listened to it on the radio, and just hearing about how the announcers, Coach Davis, is fired up. That's kind of something I hear every single game that I look at or that I watch. So just seeing that it just really shows how he cares in that family atmosphere.
From an on the court perspective, I know you've been busy playing a lot of both in Chicago as well as a lot of the tournaments you just mentioned, but how would you kind of describe your game from both the strengths and areas of improvement perspective? I think I got to watch you in Kansas City over the summer a little bit in some of the Nike EYBL, but even watching videos before that, I think the thing that jumps out is your ability to finish around the basket with both hands, and
Yep.
then you're stepping out and hitting, shooting free throws and hitting jump shots with your right hand, but you almost prefer to shoot, closer in with your left hand. And I've read you're a lefty, but so explain the whole left-handed, right-handed situation as well as how you would describe your game right now.
Um, so the left-handed right hand situation. So I'm naturally left-handed. So I
Okay.
write with my left. I eat with my left hand. I do everything with my left hand. But when I was taught to play basketball, I always shot with my right hand for some reason. I never know why. I never kind of understand why I did that. But I would always just shoot with my right hand. So when I'm playing, I'm always kind of looking to go left, and it's actually kind of predictable a little bit because I've talked with my coaches about this, and something that I've also talked with Coach May about is kind of balancing it out because I do go left a lot. But I can also finish with my right hand. But I do prefer to go left. And my overall game, I'd say one thing that I'm definitely trying to work on is becoming a more versatile player. More of a modern big man, being able to step out and shoot it like you said. But being able to start the break with a couple dribbles and outlet the ball, being able to play on the perimeter, working dribble handoffs and pitches and things like that. So that's something that I would definitely say that I'm looking to improve on. And then defensively, I would say I think I need to work on my timing better when it comes to blocking shots. I feel like in transition, if I'm going for a chase down or something like that, I feel like I'm really good with that. But when it comes to like coming over and stepping in to help, I feel like I sometimes miss times blocks or stuff like that. So I would definitely say those are some things that I need to work on.
On the recruiting trail, when Coach Davis, you told me one of the times we talked that he was offering constructive criticism. I think you said it earlier. How do you receive that the first time? Because like for people who don't know, recruiting is like coaches want to tell you everything you want to hear. They want to tell you
Right.
that James Brown is the greatest player of all time, that he's going to come in, he's going to
Never
get
lost.
25 shots. Yeah, he's going to get 25 shots a game. He can hit from three, he can hit from two, he can hit from half court, he can do it all. So when Hubert Davis is like, you might need to work on this particular thing. How'd you receive it that first time?
I appreciated it because my dad has put me in a lot of different coaching situations, and even him himself, he's a brutally honest person. So he's always taught me take things on the chin and to listen and try to improve yourself. So when Coach Davis told me what he thought about different parts about my game, the first thing I kind of reacted was, man, like, he's really watching and he's really paying attention, and he's trying to help me become better. So I was really appreciative of it because in the recruiting game, it's a business, so there are a lot of people who are gonna tell you everything you want to hear, and kind of tell you everything that you want to hear and you want to know, but in reality it's not really life. So I really appreciated that he was able to be honest with me, and that shows that he's trying to help me become a better player and a better person.
And that differentiated UNC for you. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. That's extremely fair to say. That's definitely something where I was like where it was fair to see.
So obviously there was a big announcement on Monday for UNC. I was bothering you trying to get information on it over the weekend, asking everyone I could. But now that Ian Jackson is committed to UNC, kind of what are your thoughts on that? And did you see it coming?
Um, I didn't see it coming. When I found out that he was going on an official visit, I was like, okay. I was like, all right, that's good. People usually don't go on official visits midway through the season if they're not really interested in going to a school. But being on social media and looking at different sites, I'd always see, oh, Kentucky 100%, Kentucky 100%, blah blah blah. But seeing that he's coming to North Carolina, I'm extremely happy about it. I've met Ian a couple of times at different USA camps and Pangos camps and stuff like that. So he's a really cool dude to be around. I'm really excited to play with him. I love his game. I love how he plays in transition, and I love how he's able to knock down open shots and how he can get downhill. He can do a little bit of everything. So I'm really excited to be able to play with him. I think our games can really help each other.
Ian Jackson, when he was the most recent player to commit, but in your class right now, it's four players with Elliot Cadeau, who I know you just played against a few weeks ago, but also Drake Powell. Were you able to play against him at all in the 16 and under circuit? Drake playing for CP3, and what are your thoughts on the class overall?
I never did get a chance to play against Drake. But my thoughts on the class overall is I think we have a chance to be something really really special, and I think we have a chance to kind of add to the greatness of North Carolina basketball. You're getting four really good players, four players that are going to play hard, four players that are going to do whatever it takes to win. And when you get stuff like that with a coach like Coach Davis and a coaching staff like North Carolina has, there's nothing but greatness ahead of it. So I'm really excited to get down to North Carolina, and I'm really excited for the things that this class could have in store.
James, I want to ask you, you said you haven't had a chance, sorry, Sherelle, you said you haven't had a chance you didn't get a chance to watch the NC State game. Obviously, you've got your own season going on. Have you had a chance to see many UNC games? And if so, just what's your vibe around the roster and around the way the team's playing right now?
I have had a chance to watch a good amount of North Carolina games. I know that's one thing that me and my family always try to do is look to see. That's one thing I'm always asking Coach May is when you guys play again. What time you guys play, what channel is it going to be on, things like that. But I'm really liking how the team kind of started off a little slow. I think it was the PK80 tournament that they went into and dropped a couple games. And I know a lot of people were talking on social media about, overrated, blah, 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 not that good. But, I kind of talked to Coach Man. I was like, man, you guys will be fine. Every team, kind of with my high school team, every team, has those slow starts or they get into a groove or, losing a couple games. But I'm glad that they're starting to pick it up. They're on a 4 or 5 game win streak right now, I believe. So it's good to see that they're being successful, and I think they're gonna shock a lot of people when it comes to the tournament and when it gets down to it because of the slow start. But I'm not worried. I know they've got a great team, they've got a great roster, and I'm excited to see what they'll do later down in the season.
Yeah, James, again, you are a pro at this. I don't know if anyone's told you that, but you are really, really good at it and you have a future in it. So we should talk off air. But on a serious note, you mentioned social media a few times. All of us are older, kind of fully formed, so to speak, and it is what it is. But for you all and people your age, social media is a huge deal. Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all those things. How have you handled like the criticism that comes with being, one of the best players in the country, that comes with playing in a huge city like Chicago, that now comes with being a commitment to UNC? Like, how do you process all that?
I really try not to pay attention to it. I know that's a lot easier said than done because I am a person that I am on my phone a lot. I will admit that. And that's something that I am trying to work on. I've been talking with my dad about that a lot, being on my phone so much. But really try to not pay attention to it. There are always going to be people that have some negative to say. So really just trying not to pay attention to it and kind of just stick to myself. And I know what I can do, and I know. I know that I feel like I'm a pretty talented player, and I feel like I'm pretty good. So just kind of sticking to that and kind of trying to have confidence in myself has been the big thing, to kind of just not pay attention to it.
I want to jump in and just ask you two kind of different questions. One of them focusing on Chicago hoops. I lived there for about 5 years and got to watch a lot of Chicago basketball. I think a lot of people have seen Hoop Dreams way back in the 90s. But how is it for you, playing at St. Rita, have produced a lot of well-known players, but I know you also have a pretty big commute as well. So what's it like just playing in one of the meccas of high school hoops, but also having a lot of responsibility with that, whether it's the commuting, living up to expectations, watching some great players that have come before you. What's it like playing high school in Chicago?
It's extremely difficult. I won't lie. Chicago basketball it's got some of the best basketball in the country. I think one thing that definitely separates Chicago basketball from basketball across the country is the type of toughness that you have to play, playing against people that they're gonna let you feel it for all, 32 minutes of a game. So that takes a certain type of toughness. It's extremely physical. Not a lot of fouls called, but it's extremely physical. You know, and it takes a different type of mindset to play in Chicago. You really have to that toughness mind, that toughness thing. It really is something that you have to have when you play. But talking about the commute part, you know, that's something that's not easy either. You know, getting up around 5:45, 6 in the morning every day, and then driving all the way down, having dropped off in about Lamont, and then being picked up by the St. Rita bus, and making that hour drive every single day. You know, that's something that's not easy also, but it's something that I feel like has built up character for me and kind of helped me because in college, you know, they're going to be early mornings and stuff like that. So I feel like that's something that's really prepared me for college.
Didn't you say that you had like the exact times? It's like you have to be at the bus at 6:30, 6 a.m. and you get home at exactly 8:39 or something like that. What were the exact numbers?
So I'll wake up about 5:45 somewhere. Sometimes I get up at 5:45. Sometimes you know, my mom or my dad might be like, "Yo, you overslept. It's 6 o'clock. Let's go." But so about in that 5:45 to 6 areas when I'm waking up, and then we're leaving the house about 6:20, 6:25 ish, and the bus stop is probably about 20-25 minutes away, so we're getting there about 6:50, and then I'm taking the bus to St. Rita, which we usually get there about 8 o'clock, 8:10, and then go through a whole school day, get out of practice around 5:45, 6. And then I'm taking the bus all the way back to when I usually get back to Lamar, where my dad will pick me up around 7:30. And then I usually get home about 8:15 on some nights.
Pass. Not interested. I mean, I respect the commitment. I really do, but that's my brain would not have been wired to handle that sort of commitment. Of course, I also, you know, wasn't 6'9" and extremely gifted at basketball, so maybe that's a different frame. Sean, you got anything else for James?
Yeah, I got one last question. I was watching one of your games earlier this week against De La Salle, which you guys won. It was a game, at least early on, where you weren't getting a lot of touches, but there was one play that actually jumped out, and it kind of goes to what you were saying earlier about, you know, being with your teammates, and one of your guards, I forget who it was, but they got a steal first or second quarter, and they were going up for a dunk. You started sprinting. You got to about midcourt. As soon as they went up for the dunk, you started jumping in the air, just like you were about to dunk right with them. And I actually rewound it to watch it again, but it was really just showing kind of how in tune you were and happy you were for that moment for your teammates. But how is it, you know, just playing, you know, I guess being an unselfish player and playing for a group instead of, you know, just playing for yourself?
You know, that's something that I feel like I pride myself on is, you know, being a team player. And you know, it's, you know, a dunk can do so many things in a game. It's so much more than 2 points. That's something that my dad has been telling me for a while. So, and I guess to go back a little bit, so the player that actually stole the ball is Melvin Bell. He's a sophomore. And this summer he had a really bad knee injury. So it kind of caused his recovery and you know, his time to come back. It's been a long, hard road for him to get back. So, you know, especially in that moment, being able to see him, you know, kind of go up to it for a dunk. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen him play, but his freshman year, Melvin was really special. So, you know, to kind of see everything that he's gone through over the past couple of months and to be able to see him get that dunk is something that definitely has caused a lot of excitement for me and my team. But going back to the question, you know, that's something that I definitely try to pride myself on is, you know, having a good attitude and being a good team player. And, you know, even if it's not my night scoring or if it's not my night getting the ball, you know, just still, you know, just trying to be positive and be a leader. Cause you know, the overall outcome that everybody wants is to win. So yeah.
All right, James. We've gotten through the hard part of the show. Now we're really going to get into the meat and potatoes and the stuff that everybody's really here to learn about you. It's going to be kind of some rapid fire, short answer type questions, but I'm going to throw these at you and I want you to just respond to them without thinking. All right.
Okay.
All right. First one, favorite Jordans.
11 or ones.
Okay.
11 or one.
Because again, Carolina's a Jordan school, which I know you've had your photos made in front of the wall. That's an important thing that you got to go ahead and get your arms around. All right, what are you listening to right now?
A lot of Lil Durk. I listen to a lot of Lil Durk. That's probably my favorite artist.
All right, Cubs or Sox?
Sox.
Okay, South Side. All right, Chicago style pizza or Chicago beef sandwich?
That's a tough one. If it's pizza, I'll go for Lumo. I'll say Chicago. I'll go Lumo Nadi's. But if it's a beef sandwich, it has to be from Portillo's.
All right.
The pizza isn't pizza. It's not pizza.
Had plenty of those before.
See, I told you this is the real stuff that we're here to talk about. This is the important stuff.
If you have to eat it with a fork, it's not pizza.
Don't be a hater, Sherrell.
All right, James. Keep in mind this is going to really affect your college career on how you answer this next question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on sweet tea?
I like sweet tea. No, I like sweet tea. Sweet tea, it's not bad. I prefer it with a little bit of lemonade though, kind of like a little Arnold Palmer.
Okay, that's not a bad answer. It's a lot of times people make the mistake and kind of they'll downplay sweet tea, or they'll try to act as if it has no value. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, when you move down here, it will change your life.
Okay.
So that's an important thing to remember. Favorite UNC player of all time? You cited Hansbrough a little bit. You cited some of the guys that have come from the Midwest, but who's your favorite Carolina player of all time?
So if you would have asked me this question about a month ago, I probably would have said Vince Carter. But somebody that I'm really starting to like and kind of model my game after is definitely Armando. Seeing the way that he broke the rebounding record last night and the double-double record is something that's extremely amazing. So I guess I'll kind of go. I guess you could throw Michael Jordan in there too. There are a lot of great UNC players to choose from. So I'll say Armando and MJ.
There's a little bit of a tie with Chicago and MJ. I don't know if you heard about it, but listen. All right, last question. We're gonna let you get out of here. What's the one thing that you want listeners and viewers of this show, or Carolina fans in general, to expect from you when you put on the jersey?
I would say that you're going to get somebody that's going to go out there every single night and try and help the team win. Somebody's going to go out there and play as hard as possible, and somebody's going to go out there and do, and just kind of lay it all out there on the line for those 40 minutes or however long a college game is. And somebody that's really invested in North Carolina on and off the court, and somebody that just wants to see North Carolina be great.
Man, from your lips to God's ears, I'm sure the folks listening and watching the show are going to absolutely gobble that up. James, we appreciate it, man. You've been a real pleasure to talk to, and I know Sherrell hinted at it a second ago, but I'm a little worried because at least in 4 years you're going to be coming for our jobs. So I want to make sure that you have as long of a basketball career as you can, so that we can keep doing this, and you can kind of keep taking our jobs in the back burner for a little bit. But you've been great, man. Thanks for making time for us. Give your parents a shout out for helping to organize this, and we hope nothing but the best for you as the season wraps up for you and St. Rita's, and then hopefully we'll talk to you sometime in the very near future.
Yeah, man. Of course. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me, and thank you. This has been great. Thank you.
All right, y'all. That's James Brown, a recent addition to the 24 class for Hubert Davis and staff, joining us live from just outside of Chicago, Illinois, on this edition of the Coast to Coast Podcast.